What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite AR-15 or my go-to rifle setup. We're going to be talking about some of the upgrades on this rifle, why I have them on there. But before we do that, today's video is brought to you by Big Daddy Unlimited. Now, Big Daddy Unlimited is an online buyer's club for gun guys like us to have access to guns, parts, gear, and ammo at a discounted price. And for a limited time, I have a link down in the video description where it says exclusive to a buyer's club. Click that link and you will get your first month over at Big Daddy Unlimited for 99 cents. You really can't beat that, and if it is something that's not for you, it's 99 cents. You're really not losing out too bad, but I can guarantee you if you are a gun guy, you will love what Big Daddy Unlimited has to offer. So now that all that's out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into my BCM Recce 14. So what we're going to do is start at the front, work our way to the back, and go over some of the upgrades and talk about why I have them on this rifle. So starting at the front, I am running a BCM Mod Zero compensator, and this is a 14.5 inch barrel, so that compensator is pinned and welded. Not too big of a deal. I really don't run a lot of guns suppressed, or any for that matter. I just haven't jumped on the suppressor bandwagon, and I know they're great, I know they're fun, I've shot quite a few of them. I just don't really have a need for it. I go out in the country and shoot, and I'm sure down the road I will pick up a few cans, but for right now, this rifle setup does the job for me. Now, moving behind that compensator, I am running some Midwest Industries flip-up sights. They are all steel construction, and I lucked out on these sights. I picked up both sights for $100 shipped, which is really cheap for a quality set of steel flip-up sights. I know you can order some Magpul MBUS sights for like $40 to $50 per sight. Sometimes they're a little bit cheaper, and they're great sights. I do have a few pairs of them, but if you're gonna build a go-to rifle, a battle rifle, you wanna have everything rock solid, and on this rifle, I personally feel that everything is rock solid. Next to this Midwest Industries sight, I'm running a Streamlight ProTac Rail Mount 2, amazing light for the money, $100, and you get the light, a mount, and a pressure pad. I'm currently running a BCM Scout mount on here. It is just an overall better mount. The Streamlight mount that it comes with isn't bad if you don't have any other mounts, but I highly recommend upgrading it sometime down the road. You can see how tucked in that light sits to the rail. You just want a nice compact package, and this one here, I think the whole entire light package, including the Cloud Defensive Light Control System, is probably around $200. And the Cloud Defensive Light Control System is a metal mount that holds your pressure pad. And one other thing that I really like about the light control system from Cloud Defensive is it tucks your wire in nice with the mount. You don't have a loose wire just dangling out that you have to zip tie or tape up. So that light control system is one of my favorite things about this light setup. Now, the rail that all of this is attached to is a BCM KMR rail. I'm a big fan of the KMR rails. They are key mods, so some guys do not like them. Everybody's on the M-LOK kick these days. I have some M-LOK rails. I think they're both great systems. I just don't see a need to go change this rail just because key mod is the better option. I personally have never had an option with any key mod attachment, and I don't foresee that happening, but the KMR rail is one of my favorites because it is so slim. Now, I'm not a big fan of big bulky rails. I do have some guns that have, you know, thicker rails on them, and that's fine, but if I have a choice, I definitely want to get something thin that I like, it feels good in the hand, and the KMR rail definitely fits the bill. Now, I do have another KMR rail on one of my AR-15 pistols. Like I said, I just really like the BCM KMR rails. It's key mod, it's not M-LOK, but at the end of the day, it's still a badass rail. Now, a huge advantage of the BCM Recce 14, and one of the reasons I just went ahead and bought it instead of waiting for the 16-inch, this does have a mid-length gas system, not a carbine-length gas system, which I think is awesome. I'm really happy that BCM did that. You're gonna get a much more reliable system out of a mid-length than you will a carbine. Not saying that you will have issues, but if you can get a mid-length gas system on a shorter barrel like a 14.5, I just think that's awesome, and I absolutely love the fact that they did that. Now, below on this KMR rail, I'm running a BCM CAG grip, which is their kinetic angled grip, I believe. You don't actually grip it. It is just a nice place for your hand to go. So every time I get on the rifle, my hand goes exactly where I want it to each time. It's kind of forced to be there. You can pull that rifle back into you and you're good to go. I've just never been a fan of vertical foregrips or even angled foregrips. I don't know, I just like having a nice slim rail, maybe some slim covers, and these are BCM covers. It just keeps my hands from getting too hot. But I like having a slim rail, a nice angled grip like this where your hand just kind of fits into it nicely. This is just like the perfect setup in my opinion. Now on the other side here, I am running a QD sling mount. It's just a little QD socket, and this rifle actually came with that. So after spending $1,600, it was nice of BCM to give me a QD socket mount. I can't be too mad about that. Now the sling that I'm running is a Blue Force Gear Vickers sling. This is a non-padded sling. A lot of guys like the padded slings, but I just like this one because it's minimalist, it's real thin, it does the job for me. These slings can be had for like $40. I actually have a link down in the video description if you guys would like to check them out. But what I like about them, it's kind of like the Magpul MS3s or those generations of slings where they have this quick pull to loosen it up or quick pull to get it tight on your body. So if it's just hanging low, you pull that sling and you have plenty of room to move the rifle around. I'm just a big fan of these Blue Force Gear Vickers slings. I believe I have 3 of them now. They're just awesome slings for the money. Now moving back from there, we are of course running a BCM upper and lower receiver, BCM bolt carrier group. Everything internally besides the Geissele SDE trigger is factory. Now, the Geissele SDE trigger, the reason I put that in, the BCM trigger was not a bad trigger, but this trigger is just ridiculous. You can shoot this thing so fast. It's really a matter of what you can keep up with this trigger. So, all in all, big fan of it. Geissele products, you cannot go wrong there. Now, I'm also running a Magpul bad lever, and I do get criticized on this sometimes, but I don't really run it to load my magazines faster. For me personally, it's a fact of clearing the rifle if there is a malfunction. So the Magpul bad lever is something that I've gotten used to and I do like. I do not run a Magpul bad lever on any of my other guns, but I've definitely gotten used to it on this setup. Moving down from there, we have a BCM grip, and I forget which grip this is, but it's one of their grips that sit kind of like the Magpul K grips where it is a little more of a straight up angle. I've gotten really used to this and I liked it so much I did order another one of these grips for an AR pistol. You just can't go wrong with them. I like the feel of it sitting a little further forward than a traditional AR-15 grip. Now the stock is a SOPMOD stock, not the prettiest stock in the world, but these things are tough as nails and they are pretty comfortable. Now it does come with a QD socket on the stock so you can run your sling on either side. And I don't know if it's a 6 position, I believe it is. I typically keep it in the position that it's in right now. It's just comfortable for me. Now another thing that I did change on this rifle is the Geissele airborne charging handle. I love it. It's ambidextrous, but it's not huge. It doesn't stick out of the rifle too much. It's nice and slim. I don't think it's gonna get caught up on anything. And it's ambidextrous, so that is just a huge plus. Now the buffer tube, and spring are all factory BCM. It is running an H buffer, which is a little bit heavier of a buffer. And from the first time I ever picked this rifle up, it is just so smooth, it is ridiculous. It's kind of like my Benelli M4. The first time I ever picked up a Benelli M4 and ran the action, you just knew you were dealing with a fine shotgun. And the same goes for my Arsenal SAM 7 SF, which is an AK variant. From the second you rack that bolt, you just know that it is a quality rifle. You could just feel it in there. And if I were to bring this gun out and a cheaper AR-15, you could definitely feel the difference in the way that bolt pulls back. Now sitting up top, I am running a Trijicon MRO, sitting on an American Defense QD mount. I'm a big fan of the MRO. It does have a very wide field of view. I did get another MRO in, and I'm thinking about putting it through some torture testing. About a year ago, my buddy threw a Trijicon MRO on his Benelli M4, and he was running 3.5-inch turkey loads, which have a lot of recoil if you do not know that. And he cracked his MRO. It broke. I forget how many rounds. I want to say like 6 rounds. So I've been very tempted to put one on my Benelli M4 just to see what it'll put up with. And I personally thought that that was just a defective product by Trijicon. He sent it in. They sent him a brand new one. I think it was a defective product because I've never seen a Trijicon product fail like that. But ever since then, he has been extremely weary of Trijicon MROs, and I understand why. But now that I have another one in, I think we're gonna put it through some torture testing, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now the next thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to AR-15s or being a go-to rifle is magazines. Now this one here is from C Products. I just got this in. I really haven't shot these too much. I do have a few other C Products USGI mags. I just really like the color of this, but I did bring out 4 magazines that are my go-to AR-15 magazines, and the first one is going to be a Lancer. Now Lancer mags, I've seen some people complain about these, but I have probably 15 or 20 of these magazines and I have never once had an issue. I do like the fact that they do have steel reinforced feed lips, and I do like the translucent color, which really doesn't make a difference on its function, but all in all, these are awesome magazines. Next up the Mission First Tacticals, and these are the newest generation of Mission First Tactical magazines. I have about 300 rounds through this magazine, no issues yet, but so far I've been really liking it. I like the feel of it, I like some of the features that it has, and I do have a video out talking about these magazines a little bit more if that is something you guys are interested in. The next magazine is a classic PMag. How could you not include a PMag in a favorite AR-15 magazine video? And I do have some PMags that have failed, more or less leaving them loaded for like 3 to 4 years. I started to see a crack back here, but of course those were the first generation PMags. This one here is a Gen 3, I believe, but it's been a long time since I've ever had an issue out of a PMag, and I can say that I've never had a PMag fail on me. Even the ones that are cracked a little bit on the spine, and they're not cracked really bad, they run just fine. Now the last magazine that I want to talk about is this ETS magazine. Now I do have some of these ETS mags that have the couplers on them, which is awesome. I do have some of them that are completely clear, and this one is in translucent smoke. So these ETS AR-15 magazines are definitely good to go in my book. And one thing that I like to do with all of my magazines, not even just AR-15s, I like to number them, so if I do have an issue with them at the range, when I come home, I know which magazine was having an issue, and I can either replace the spring or clean it or see what's going on with it. I know a few weeks ago I uploaded the video on the Alpha Shooting Sports Glock 19 out at the range, and I did have some issues with the magazine followers not locking the slide back, and some guys took that as the gun was malfunctioning. That's not the problem, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but some of the Glock magazines that I have, I've been running the same spring in them for like 4 or 5 years, and they've seen a lot of rounds. I probably need to replace the springs, but next time I take out the Alpha Shooting Sports Glock 19, we're gonna be taking all brand new Glock mags, so there's no question about anything going wrong with the gun. But I think that's gonna wrap it up on my BCM Recce 14. This is my favorite rifle. This is my go-to rifle. And of course I do have other guns that I would not have any problem whatsoever picking up and using, but this is the one that has just never done me wrong. I've never had any issues out of it. I love it. It just feels the best. I don't know, this is just my favorite AR-15, and I would love to know what your go-to rifle is, whether it's an AR, an AK, some sort of subgun. I don't really care. I would love to hear about it down in the comment section below. But as always, thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. I'll catch you guys in the next one.